It's really the type of story films and plays are made of. It's a journey of political introspection that brought one man to challenge his normative values upon reading free market frontiersman Friedrich von Hayek. Here now is the author of The Secret Knowledge, all about his intellectual transformation away from being a liberal, the Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, screenwriter, and film director David Mamet. David, what a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to Freedom Watch. What a pleasure and surprise it was to read about this transformation. A lot of us have gone through intellectual, ideological odysseys and transformations. Tell us about yours, from being in the heart of the liberal intelligentsia to now a libertarian-leaning conservative here in New York City.
Well, I thought I'd take some time and figure out what it was that I thought, because I realized that I had responsibilities as a citizen, and that one of them was to understand the way the government works, because I saw the government failing in all three branches. I saw the press failing, the fourth branch of our protection against dictatorship, and I thought, well, who's going to be left except the citizen? Somebody's got to bell the cat.
When did you see the press starting to fail and the government starting to get away with things which, to your views, were not countenanced or authorized in the Constitution?
Well, it may have happened before, but I started seeing it with Obama's run-up to the first election, to the '08 election. That I realized that the New York Times, which had been my Bible growing up, was about as biased as the day is long.
And you have made some extraordinary comments, one of which is your friends, maybe some of them are your former friends, liberals are brain dead. What do you mean by that?
I never said that, actually. What I wrote...
Words to that effect. Startling words.
No, I didn't. What I said was I wrote an article for the Village Voice because I did a play called November on Broadway.
Right.
About a president.
It's a hoot, that play,
Thank you.
It's hilarious.
Yes, Nathan Lane played the president. And so I wrote an essay about political civility. And I said, here's what political civility is as I understand it, as my rabbi teaches it. You have to be able to state the other guy's point of view such that when you state it back to him, he says, yes, that's what I mean. And then he states your point of view to you, and you say, yes, that's what I mean. Say, good. Now we're going to each introduce facts. Let's agree on the facts that we can agree on and proceed from there.
Were your former colleagues and comrades, the liberals, able to do that with respect to libertarian or conservative views?
No, because as Freud said, the resistance is the neurosis, and so that what the left does is they insulate themselves, and they say that anything which is not, that's why people on the left always greet each other with, did you see what that senator did today?
Right.
Or that blah blah Sarah Palin, or that stupid Bush, because their constant greeting is to reinforce in each other the herd instinct.
Do our basic rights, speech, privacy, press, to worship or not to worship, privacy, travel, do they come from within us, or do they come from the government?
Well, they don't come from the government, that's for sure. They come our Judeo-Christian heritage is a written law. It becomes a written law which is based on the oral law, and the oral law precedes the written law, or else how do we know?
Right.
But the oral law meaning we know how we behave over here. If we have a new situation with a new work group, we're going to see the way we behave with each other, and then we're going to make rules.
And yet the government thinks it can take our rights away from us, even though the Constitution purports to guarantee those rights. Of what value is the Constitution if virtually no president and no Congress feels constrained by it?
Well, it's a value to the citizen, because it's going to, the question is who's going to bell the cat, and the answer is there's nobody home but us chickens. Right? The citizens are going to have to gather, you and me and the rest of us, and say, nope, I'm sorry, no. As Gandhi said to the British, you've been guests in our house a long time, it is now time for you to leave.
What do we do when the president starts a war on his own, when the Constitution says only the Congress can declare war, when the president thumbs his nose at the Congress and the Congress lets him get away with it?
Well, there's only two things that one can do. One of them is vastly illegal and wrong, which is to overthrow the government by force, and the other one is to vote. And that's all that we can do, to say, yes, things have gotten vastly terrible. Okay, we're going to vote them out.
One of the lessons, I think, of the FDR years, tell me if you agree or disagree, is that central planning of the economy is not an effective way to bring about prosperity. but that when people risk and invest their own wealth, and when consumers make their own choices, stated differently, when the government gets out of the way, we create prosperity. But this government doesn't believe that. This president and the Congress that preceded him engaged in some of the greatest central planning of economic activity since the FDR years. What will it take for them to realize the harm that they're doing?
Well, why should they realize it? Because they keep getting paid for it. President Obama famously said, greed is bad, and there must be a point at which a man says, I had enough. Yet, when he retires, and may it be soon, he's going to live like a billionaire, whether or not he is one, and he's never going to say, I have enough. He's going to say, give me more. Whether he says, gives me more because he's greedy, or he's going to say, give me more so I can help others, don't make any difference.
What did you think about a book that I love, and that many people in this building and many people watching us now have read, The Road to Serfdom by F.A. Hayek? Did that open your eyes?
Well, sure. Of course it did. Sure, The Fatal Conceit and The Road to Serfdom. And then I went back and I read some books that Hayek read.
Right.
Specifically one called The Herd Instinct in Peace and War. And that's what got me thinking about what liberalism is.
You are one of the great playwrights of our day. It's a joy to have you here, David. I've watched your plays. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
A freshman senator who just